everyone, Nicole Cordoves here, and welcome to our special episode of Miss Universe 2020, where we will be reviewing the top 5 question and answer portion. So we have finally crowned our new Miss Universe 2020, Miss Mexico. And also I would like to congratulate Rabia Mateo. You represented the Philippines so well. We know that you went through a lot of tough times in the competition, especially the fact that you're competing in a pandemic. So thank you so much for pushing through until the end. Salamat at pinaglaban mo ang Pilipinas ng matinding-matindi. You gave it your all. And I think this is also a humbling experience for all of us because when we look back at our past Miss Universes like Pia and Catriona, we can appreciate more how hard they worked for their crown, because as we can see, even though we sent like a very good candidate, we've been sending really good candidates to Miss Universe, but it's not as easy to get in. So kudos to all the girls. And before we dive right into the question and answer review, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss an episode, because we have more pageants coming up this year. Nothing's gonna stop us. We are going to do the question and answer portion review for our top 5 finalists. So let's dive into it. So the first question and answer round began with Miss Mexico.
Please step up and pull a number.
Thank you, Olivia and Mario. Y hola, Florida.
Eight. Okay, your question comes from Brooklyn.
Hola.
If you were the leader of your country, how would you have handled the COVID-19 pandemic?
I believe there's not a perfect way to handle this hard situation, such as COVID-19. However, I believe that what I would have done was create the lockdown even before everything was that big, because we lost so many lives and we cannot afford that. We have to take care of our people. That's why I would have taken care of them since the beginning.
All right, so they were off to a good start. That was a good answer by Miss Mexico. I actually only noticed the translator beside her because I only saw her using her translator on the second round of the Q&A, and I was like, oh, why didn't she go all the way with her English, using the English language? So I feel like we could see that she was really thinking about her answer while saying it at the same time. Like, you can see it in her face. We might mistaken it as her being nervous, but now that I see the translator beside her and with the knowledge that she did use her translator in the second round, maybe it was just her translating first what she's gonna say before actually saying it. And honestly, at first I thought that she was stammering, but it could just be that language barrier. Like, she just really tried to deliver her answer in English as best as she can. And if that's the case, then she did do a good job. What I love about her answer is how she underscored that there is no perfect way of handling the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, nobody saw it coming, right? And even those countries that are better off now still have to proactively think of different responses to the new problems that the pandemic brings. That's why I really agree on her point on this one. So it was short, it was concise, and we have to appreciate also her effort of answering the question in English, which is obviously not her first language. So up next, we're really looking forward to India answering this question because we know how hard the pandemic took a strike on them. So to talk about the pandemic and government efforts in any way is really political. So I think that India also kind of was cautious about it, but I think she still gave out really salient points in her answer, like striking a balance between economy and health, because we all know that that's the hard part about this pandemic. Because if we shut down the economy too long, then people will die of hunger. There are no jobs. And how would people put food on the table? And at the same time, if the economy is too open or not too safe or secure, then there will be a lot of health risks for people, like you get the virus. So I'm really glad that she mentioned that. And she went on from that point to indicating that it's very important for the government to work with the people. It's a very general statement, but it's true because we have seen how a lot of government and its institutions, and we saw the weak points of how they are not able to really take care of their people. So overall, listening to India's answers, I feel like she ticked off a lot of boxes of the things that need to be talked about the pandemic crisis. So by the end of her answer, when she concluded it, I had brain orgasm and I was very, very happy. Next up, we have Miss Brazil.
Brazil, please step forward and make your selection.
Good evening, universe. Number 1.
Hey, your question.
By the way, it's so funny when she greeted everyone, we were like, oh, mag-host si ate girl.
In many countries, women are still considered incapable of being world leaders. Convince these countries that they're wrong.
Women are such an important part of this society, and just because we are not encouraged in the same way that men are, we have our potential wasted. The world needs women contributions because we came for some reason, and I invite every woman to understand that we are the leaders of our lives, and yes, we can do a lot for our communities. So please take your power.
Thank you.
Okay, so Miss Brazil was off to a rocky start. She gave a general contribution of women, but I feel like her answer could have been better if she gave like modern women leaders who serve as role models to us today, and maybe even a modern definition of feminism. I feel like she could have given a stronger message with a more concrete example. But in the end, bumawi siya because she gave that spirit, that passion to hope to inspire women who are listening to her on the Miss Universe stage. So overall, I think her answer could have been better, but it's a passable answer. Next up, we have Miss Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic, please make your pick.
Number 7.
Number 7, your question will be coming from Christine Duffy.
The night she won Miss Universe, Zosie Tunzi explained the importance of teaching leadership to young girls. How would you do that as Miss Universe?
La noche que ganó Miss Universo, Zosie explicó la importancia de enseñar liderazgo a las chicas jóvenes. Si tú ganas Miss Universo, ¿cómo harías eso?
Buenas noches, gracias por la pregunta.
Good night, thank you for the question.
Vengo de una familia completamente llena de mujeres,
I come from a family completely filled with women,
de las cuales me he impulsado para ayudarlas hoy día,
of which have helped me, propelled me to help them today.
trabajando con mi organización sin fines de lucro, Orfanato Niños de Cristo.
Working with my nonprofit, Fines de Cristo.
Entiendo que no tengo que tener un título para ayudar a todas aquellas niñas necesitadas a enseñarles cómo ser líder.
I understand that I don't need a title to be able to help others and to be able to support them.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominican Republic.
All right, so I love the question coming from the judge. And the question started off strong, like, okay, considering Zozibini Tunzi's reign, like she specified that. So when this question is given to a candidate, you can't help but compare the power of Zosie and the potential candidate who's applying to become Miss Universe and step into Zozibini's shoes. So I can't help but expect a powerful answer from Miss Dominican Republic, which I felt didn't meet my expectations. I was still waiting for that climax to her answer. I feel like it didn't really specify anything to directly answer the question. What I would commend her for, though, is her grace in answering it. Like, she was really composed and she really took her time. She was unbothered with the delay of the translator. So I thought that her answer was going to lead to something more concrete, but when she said that working with my organization, I realized that I don't need a title, which is true, and that's a good spirit to have, but I'm waiting for the but. Like, I don't need a title, but if I become Miss Universe, you know, like, I need the but. I feel like it's such an incomplete answer, and that she kind of gave it away, gave the crown away to the next girl. If they ask you what you can do as Miss Universe, if you were given the role, answer it as the next Miss Universe. Don't give the other girls a chance. Up next, we have Peru.
Number 2. All right, number 2, your question is coming from Zuleika Rivera.
Miss Peru, what would you say to the women watching tonight who are currently experiencing sexual or domestic abuse?
I will tell them that I admire their strength, that they're survivors, and that I've been there too. I became the hero of my own story. That's why I advocate to save little girls from being victims. They're survivors, they're heroes. They have the power, and don't ever, ever make anyone silence your voice.
I'm so heartbroken for Miss Peru, oh my gosh. Okay, so this is actually the first time that I heard Miss Peru speak, because we always see her pictures, her gorgeous face everywhere, but I never have come across an interview with her. So I was really surprised. I was blown away by her communication skills. I love that. I took notes. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything about Peru's answer, because I feel like she had the most meaty answer out of all the contestants for this round. So I love how she said, I've been there too, without having to elaborate about it. And then she said that I am the hero of my own story. And I feel like the whole answer that she delivered, she was directly communicating to survivors of sexual abuse. I feel like she was really talking to them. She was really making sure that she delivers her message to them. She wasn't just giving the correct answer. That's a more advanced level of communication skill, to be able to speak to audiences directly. So at this point, I was already imagining her in a lot of speaking events as Miss Universe. So yeah, I'm still heartbroken. And now we move on to the final word. And I was really excited about this because Miss Universe gave them categories again, instead of just saying why they should win Miss Universe, which I feel like is a more challenging mechanic, especially since they removed the self-introduction already, or their opening statement.
Changing beauty standards. Vivimos en una sociedad que cada vez está más avanzada.
We live in a society that more and more is more in advance.
Y así como hemos avanzado como sociedad, también hemos avanzado en los estereotipos.
And as we have advanced as a society, we've also advanced with stereotypes.
Hoy en día, la belleza no radica solamente en cómo nos vemos.
Nowadays, beauty isn't only the way we look.
Para mí, la belleza radica en nuestro espíritu, en nuestra alma y los valores con los que nos manejamos.
For me, beauty radiates not only in our spirit, but in our hearts and the way that we conduct ourselves.
No permitan nunca que alguien les diga que no tienen valor.
Never permit someone to tell you that you're not valuable.
Thank you.
Right, so Miss Mexico was given the topic changing beauty standards, and she said more is more, and she gave her own definition of beauty. So it wasn't like a very different answer where you're like, whoa, okay, that's something new. But we can see in this round that she is more comfortable answering the question. She is more confident in using her own language. So her answer wasn't anything groundbreaking, or she didn't redefine anything per se. But she did end with a very strong statement of empowerment. So that counts for something. But at the same time, her final answer didn't really propel her to the top of my list.
Sorry. Free speech and the right to protest.
I feel like India has been dealt with potentially very political questions from round
the
one
right to
and
protest.
round two.
We've seen many protests in the recent days. Especially I want to point out the protests that women have made throughout the years with equal rights. Until today we lack in them. Because protest helps us raise our voice against what's happening, against inequality. It helps minorities in any democracy to raise their voice. So the protest is very important. But what's not important is when you use it, because with every right comes a responsibility. So use it with power. Thank you.
Thank you, India.
Okay, so there are things that I like and things that I don't like about her answer. Let's start off with the things that I like first. I was very excited when she mentioned that there are a lot of protests that are happening simultaneously all over the world, and we saw it like in Myanmar, in Israel. So I was surprised when she suddenly shifted to the angle of women, like women's movement, women empowerment, and the protests from women. So I feel like it's just quite scattered. I was like, okay, where is this going? What's the direction of this answer? Because you jump from one topic to another. But she redeemed herself when she mentioned minorities in democracy, which is a very important reason for people to protest and be heard so that they will not be excluded and we can build a more inclusive world. And then, in the second to the last part of her sentence, I think she intended to say, do not misuse, because freedom of speech is still a privilege. So she recognized that as well, that problem with freedom of speech and how people misuse them. But see how it's too scattered already. Like, I wish she just focused on one guttural issue, meaning that it's the most relevant issue now. Like, yes, women empowerment, women's movement is always there. We need to continuously fight for it. But I mean, your co-candidate, Miss Israel, had to drop out the competition because of what's happening in her country. Myanmar took a stand as well because of what's happening in her country. The answer reflected how you didn't really get the pulse of the current events. Like, what is most urgent, what needs to be talked about the most right now, given 30 seconds and the world is your audience. So I feel like it was a missed opportunity for India.
Brazil, please select a card.
Mental health. Mental health is still a very stigmatized topic, and it keeps us from giving the right assistance to those in need. So may we all tonight remember to normalize conversations about anxiety or depression, because we all hurt sometimes, but we don't need to face it alone. May we all come together, because togetherness is our strength, and together we can overcome anything. So let's support each other, let's share empathy. Thank you.
Okay, so for Miss Brazil, once again, it wasn't any answer that's so out of the box. But in talking about mental health, I love how she just gave that spirit, which she already showed in the first round of the Q&A. So we know that she's consistently that kind of girl, that kind of person who, you're just motivated by listening to their answer because of her aura and how she approaches the issue. Like, she didn't make it a heavy conversation around mental health, but it was more of, let's work together, let's keep in touch with each other. It was more of the feeling that she gave you instead of the correctness of the answer or the depth of the answer. And I don't have a problem with that at all, but also it doesn't propel her to go to the top 3 of my lists of bets for the top 5.
Global poverty.
Pobreza global.
Durante esta pandemia,
During this pandemic,
mi país, República Dominicana,
my country, Dominican Republic,
asumió el 23% en pobreza.
has risen to 23% poverty rate.
Para mí, estar aquí al frente de ustedes, pudiendo representar a la República Dominicana,
For me, being able to be in front of you guys, representing Dominican Republic,
es un gran orgullo poder decir que va a ayudar a nuestro turismo, que nosotros los seres humanos
that makes me incredibly proud that it will help my tourism and that us as human beings
tenemos que tener en cuenta que son muchas personas que están allá afuera que los podemos ayudar a sobrepasar todas esas cosas.
that we have to realize there are so many people out there that need our help and that we can overcome anything.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so for me in this round, Dominican Republic really redeemed herself. I love me a girl who can throw out statistics out there. So she indicated the poverty rate that has risen to 23% in her country. And that just goes to show that she did her homework. She knew that she had to learn the most basic statistics that she could incorporate in her answer and make it a stronger one. So I was so happy for her at that point. But there was, I don't know if it's just a translation, but there was a disconnect from the first part of her answer to the second part of her answer. Yes, like maybe she's standing there so that she can help promote, I think, the tourism of Dominican Republic, but I feel like it wasn't that strong of a transition from what she gave in the first half of her answer. So I guess she was trying to be like a symbol of hope. I feel like she could have ended stronger. Although what we can say is that she is the most composed lady in the top 5. Like even if the buzzer for the time already sounded, she took her time. She was unfazed. Her eyes didn't even like shift or anything, and even though the translator had delays, like she was just calm and like, I'm gonna finish my answer. And now finally we have Miss Peru.
Climate change. It is our collective responsibility to start taking action in order to save our planet. Just by little, we can start making a difference. Little by recycling, by teaching young generations about taking care of our beautiful, beautiful Earth. We're just here for one time. And this is the time that we have to start taking care of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Peru.
I love most about Peru are her mannerisms, and we'll get to that bit by bit later on. I actually thought that the stars have aligned for Miss Peru because she was given the easiest questions in both rounds. Like, it wasn't about a pandemic or the women's movement. Both the questions that were thrown to her were not potentially political at all. So I was like, okay, parang gusto talaga siya panalunin, gusto siyang koronahan. Anyway, I love how she started with the soundbite collective responsibility. I feel like that's a very strong way to start her answer. And then when she went on to saying that we're only here once, something like that, and then her facial expression was like, we're only here once. And there's just that flair, you know. I love how she expresses herself with her body language, her facial expressions. You have to watch her question and answer portion all over again because you can observe these little things that she does that I feel makes her a better speaker. She's not stiff at all, and she can really have these movements that will express herself, that can persuade people. And it feels like she's actually leaning into her audience. Na parang kukunin ka na niya, parang hugutin ka niya, halika dito, usap tayo. Parang ganun, to that effect. And even though she had really simple answers, the sound bites were there. Like, you don't have to drop any word or any sentence, any phrase from her answer to make it better. There are no unnecessary words in there. It was well thought of. She was quick on her feet. And she just exudes this aura and manner of a woman leader that I feel could have been a strong succession to Zosie's reign. So at this point, after going through both rounds of the question and answer portion, my bets went like this. Like, Dominican Republic takes 4th runner-up, then Brazil, and then Mexico, and then it was between India and Peru. So Peru was my winner at this point, but as they were announcing, I was shocked that India was placed lower than expected, like third runner-up. I actually thought she merited at least a first runner-up position. And then by the time that they announced Peru, I was just shocked. Like, I have no words. I don't know at what point it went from crown this girl, corona na lang kulang sa ulo niya, to runner-up ka lang. I really don't get it. I do acknowledge that looking back now, like Mexico had a consistent fight. She fought through the journey consistently. We still have to acknowledge the fact that 60% of the score is derived from the closed-door interview. And we have to give credit where credit is due. Maybe that's where Mexico really shined. Maybe she gave one heck of an interview to convince the judges that she needs to be crowned that night. Let's give her also the benefit of the doubt that since there was not much exposure this year in Miss Universe, maybe we weren't able to see her strengths enough to convince us that she is a frontrunner in this competition. So all we can do right now really is to support her in her reign. And I think that the way it usually goes, like once they crown a girl, we start to see why they earned the merit of winning the crown in the first place. So their story always unfolds throughout their journey. It was a surprising win, but nonetheless, congratulations, Miss Mexico. Your win is all the more victorious because not everyone saw it coming, so it just means that you fought hard for this one. So Miss Mexico is a wonderful surprise, and we wish you all the best in your reign.